Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My motion picture of Pablo has returned after he has fully recovered from his dodgy voice. But yeah, we're back again with some more AVG action, this time in Group A. And we've got ESports Aberdeen, which we have confirmed beforehand. It is ESports Aberdeen, not Aberdeen ESports. We'll try and do our best to make sure that we say it the right way around. A quick shout out to Sibs with the follow as soon as we went live. Thank you very much, brother. And they are up against... Is Nordic the right word? The Nordic boys of Skal ESports, Pabs. So again, two teams we haven't seen anything of, and we can just sit back and let them show all their wonders for us.
Mate, it's just more note-taking time. It's incredible, and this is one of the joys of hopping over to a completely different esports. So yeah, nice to see a handful of 10 new faces to try and add to the list of names we've already gathered through the Goose House, through T Ricky and Control Esports. So yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. Who do we look out for? It's going to be a lovely surprise. But yeah, Esports Aberdeen. Again, just another name that to add to the roster of teams and orgs that we get to cast over in Skal Esports with that beautiful big Nordic Viking right on the front, and it warms my heart with the family name coming from Norway as well, mate. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so in terms of ranks, for anyone interested, Vape and Pika are both Diamond. Ephemeral, that's a name and a half, I'll try not to mess that one up, is Plat 1. And then we've got two Ascendants in, I'm going to go with Rego and Humil. I'll go Humil. We'll go Hummus. Yeah, no, I'll go Humil for Esports Aberdeen. And then on the other side, you've got four Immortals in Joe, Sibs, Hockey, and Shonky, which I believe is shortened up for Shadow Monkey. But that's a great name there, Shonky. And then SLM is Ascendant 3. So potentially a little bit of a skill gap between these two on paper anyways, but you never really know what to expect as we go into these ones. And our maps for this one, we see another Breeze. I don't think we've casted Ascent
no,
yet
we haven't.
On this one,
I
so
can't wait.
That's a new one
so
for
excited.
us. And Breeze and Bind, bread and butter, really. Both beginning with B, I suppose that's ironic, really. But yeah, they're ones that we're used to seeing. This is the first series for anyone who has been watching that we haven't got a Breeze as map 1. So slight different change of scenery on Ascent. So we will guarantee a fresh new map for us one. So for anyone who is interested. That is what is currently on the board for us. But yeah, we can kind of sit back, see what's up, and usually we kind of get a general idea of where the game is going, Pablo. If it is going to be one-sided, usually around the first, say, 4 or 5 rounds, if one team starts to blast out a bit of a lead, that's where you can kind of sit back and go, okay, one team definitely seems a lot more either confident or adept at strategizing what they want to do on the map, especially in the attacking sides anyways.
Well, your biggest concern is if the defensive team puts up 4 or 5 rounds in a row, because you know they're going to be a super solid side. And going into the attacking phase, this is what we usually see, is them just start to let rip. So, you know, this is the thing. We need to see the attacking team just try and put some... Did you just let one go then?
I had to make the noise because you said let rip. So sorry.
I'm not even conscious of the words I'm saying sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. You know, if your defensive team are looking strong when they get into that attacking phase, that's what you've got to be concerned about. So hopefully a little bit more competitive kind of nature. Did miss the midweek game between the Goose House and T Ricky. I believe it was an absolute belter as well.
Really good game.
But no one needed to hear that voice that night. So, but yeah, hopefully we're going to see a great performance from the attacking side going out the blocks, and that would hopefully then lead to a more evenly balanced game once we see that flip. But I mean, it's been crazy, and is this the first time we've cast over towards this group of teams as well? We've moved away from the Team Ricky Goose House Control Esports group and over towards this group A. So it's going to be nice to see just how these two teams match up.
Yeah, this is the first game, I do believe, for Skal and Aberdeen. I don't think have won yet, if memory serves me well. I'll need to go back and just check on the old graphic there for the table. But we are now loading into map number 1, and we're just going to see what kind of characters we're seeing. So, because we're used to seeing kind of like the generic bulk of kind of meta characters, Pablo, but we are already seeing a Killjoy.
No chamber as yet.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, so no chamber. There is going to be a chamber on the side of Skal, so SLM's going to be running that one. So yeah, we are going to see a chamber pick. But I think, going off of Jorange's stats, big shout out to her for sorting us out with them all the time, we have so far yet to see a map that doesn't have a chamber on it. So that trend continues. I thought for a second it might be the case that we might maybe have one and maybe break the trend, but that isn't going to be the case. And I will just quickly sling in the the screenshot for the play.
I think I got it.
Oh, did you get it? Whoa! Upgraded, Pabs. Love it.
No, it's. I don't think it's worked.
Did you mess it up again? Don't worry.
I took a screenshot of a list of agents.
Nice. So yeah, we're
useful stuff.
We are pretty much in. And
did I not see no chamber and no fade on Aberdeen ESports?
I think so. Yeah, I do believe that is the case. I will obviously
that's
this over in just a second.
Oh yeah, drop that screenshot in.
It's in, mate. It's already there, mate. It's all ready to go.
I'm in the wrong play.
So yeah, we've on the side of Skal, we've obviously got Raise Chamber, KO, cheeky bit of Omen, and Fade. So a pretty standard setup that we're used to seeing. And on the side of Aberdeen Esports, we have got Omen, Killjoy, Sky, Sofa. Almost said Sofa then. And
Sofa?
And, yeah, nice little Sofa.
Get the Relaxo arrows out.
And Reggio is going to be running Jet. So yeah, it would be interesting to see how these two match up. And a quick shout out to Mrs. Anvil and Golds for the follows. Thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. So we are now in and going as we are going to see the bot come flying out the gates here. And it looks as though the boys of Skal are just going to head straight up towards that B site. You can see number 2 there. Pika's going to be really stuck in this one. We'll do well to at least get a pick and stay alive here. The flashbang, though, is going to slap him right in the face. Nothing really he can do about that one. So site control, always important. And they do that straight out the gates, Pablo, and get the first blood to go with it as well.
Yeah, they've got a little bit of damage over towards Skal. You can see KO and Fade down to a slither of health, but again, not being enough. Only one fallen, so it is only a 4v5, but that was a heavy stack over towards B site without any real pause, no caution at all. So Skal already feeling confident it is going to be a 1v2, make that a 2v0 as the boys from Skal managed to get a pretty easy round on the board. And I think this is the thing with the center B side, just if you can get through that particular like chicane as such over the kind of courtyard right the way through, then you can get that B side closed down pretty quickly. I think you're going to see this as a very popular push from Skal. I think you're probably going to see this a lot in a sense as well throughout the season.
Yeah, and I did just quickly see Tech was asking who picked map 1. So this is Aberdeen Esports map, this one. So you would hope that this would be the one that they are more accustomed to doing well on. But yeah, pushing through that B site is the first part of it is difficult, getting in towards that left side. But when you get in there, it's very useful. Obviously, you can use the cover of the wall, get the bomb down relatively quickly. And we can already see in number 4 on your mini-map there, Humel's going to be really stuck over towards the site. And they take her down 3, go down right off the rip, actually saying that. So that is not looking good for Aberdeen again. Scout opting to go for what works. Shonky is just going to push over towards the backside of their spawn now as they're going to try and push out a couple of these lanes. Got to be careful not to overextend too much and maybe give a free pick to either Reggio or Pika. And it is going to be shots coming straight around the corner. Hockey's going to take down Pika. So now all on Reggio, last man up. And they are pushing a lot of utility in with that door. Currently not destroyed. Back against the wall in towards Market. It's not going to be an easy job for him now, and he is getting shot in the back, and yep, he drops, and it's a very dominant opening start coming through from Skal, Pablo.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we did say towards the start of the round, the difference between the kind of levels of the players may indicate one team being slightly stronger than the others. But right now, it is looking very promising for Skal. Mighty Joe taking the early lead in terms of kills, supported very quickly by Hockey. So, a lot of work needed on the side of Aberdeen with 4 players not quite off the mark. And again, it is going to be Humil, I believe, who's going to be stuck towards the back of B with that job to do. And he has been pushed back time and time again as the boys of Skal just utilize their ability to get that information. And there we can see it again, Major.
Yeah. Nade over the top. How's your Kobe looking, Hockey? Out goes the Boombot as well. So again, they're just going to flood a lot of utility. And this time, Humo, is he going to get the first kill? He will. So nice. Good work there from him. Just going to stop that push over that side just by using a little bit of utility. Stops the push coming through. But again, it is just going to be bomb site control at the moment. So they're not really adapting too quickly as of yet, Aberdeen Esports. They have just given up site control again just by opting to leave Hummel on his own. Ephemeral and the boys now going to look to try and get this site retake. There's going to be a lot of utility coming through. Here we are going to see the Doge come straight through. And it will get info onto Hockey. But the difficult part now is going to have to try and get these players out towards the back arches. There's going to be one person on the bomb. And it is going to be a nice kick there from Bape. And they do actually manage to take down 2 players. So the site regain is looking feasible here. But Hockey gets 1. How many can he get? Oh, it's only going to be the 1. And it will be a site retake coming through from Aberdeen Esports. And a lot better there from those guys.
Yeah, I mean, they were under the same kind of pressure, but just a lot better in terms of their picks. Playing their lives a little bit better has helped them considerably in making sure they don't get pushed and flanked. So I think the thing is now, the concern if you are Aberdeen is that they've managed to get one on the board early, which is great.
Yeah.
But they've been almost trained to go towards that B site, and you can already see it looks like the boys from Skal are just going to try and mix things up a bit. It is still going to be a split defence from Aberdeen, but you're just worried that they're just at the minute being kind of trained to consistently go towards B. Whether they're going to be ready for a potential A push, you can see already that spike being left just in case they decide to transition back over at pace towards A.
Yeah, and SLM, who's currently running chamber on the side of Skal, number 9 on the minimap, has decided to pull out an operator, so we'll have to wait and see how he's able to maybe get a couple of picks. We are going to see a few smokes coming through here, but a slightly different approach coming out of Skal here. Just opting to split a few players across a few lanes, maybe work a pick before entering in the site. Hockey is just going to nade in through tree out towards that jump up. But no info as of yet coming through for Skal before they do eventually push in, but we are now going to get a little bit of a standoff here in towards tree, and Shonky's able to get the first blood onto Reggio, so that's going to be a position that they are going to want to be in if they are going to decide to try and push this A site. We are going to see two players alongside Bape just transition over towards A, so they do have quite a resistance over here. They got to be careful of that A main push through if those three players do decide to push in, but now, Peak is just going to get caught out on the rotation. Nice work there from Sibs. And it will be a flashbang that hits him straight in the face. But look at those red arrows, Pablo. They're just wrapping the bomb. And, nice work from Sibs to get another pick.
It's just so difficult for them as well. I mean, you look at Aberdeen occasionally just pushing out on their own. They've had two players fall without trade, so that's going to make it even more difficult in this 2v4. Ephemeral, another player who has just been holding over towards that A site, and you can see this very cautious push. And bomb is going to be going down. It's going to be a pretty quick there as Mr. Mighty Joe and Shonky just team up just to finish things off. And again, Major, this is the problem they face, the likes of Mighty Joe and Shonky when they're on this kind of form, 5 and 4 between them, and Hockey as well. They've just got no real answer. Now, we've seen this before midweek. We've seen players dominate early on. Now, largely it becomes from just picking out players who are on their own, who aren't there for trade. And again, this is one of the differences we see between a really good side and a side who aren't necessarily maybe as experienced. They need to just support each other a little bit more and make sure they're there to pick up trades and at least put Skal under some pressure.
Yeah, and obviously right off the rip as well, Aberdeen, they're going to be stuck in a position where they do not want to be, and they're going to have to use a save round here, which is not ideal for them. But Reggio's going to try and fly in. There is going to be an ultimate that flies straight through, and Joe again gets another 2 picks. So that is not what they want to see. And a couple of windy shots there, but Joe with the pistol out doesn't need the assault rifle in the end to finish off Babe. And now Hummel is left in a very horrible spot. 1 versus 5 required with the pistol out. That is not ideal. And now, is he going to be at least able to take one of these players off? Or maybe pick off a couple at best, because it doesn't look ideal for him here. The A bomb site is well and truly covered with Skal ESports players. That bomb's going down, and that retake is not going to be simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, they've got players nicely spread out. You can see just waiting to get information is going to be, I do believe it is going to be the chamber player. That is going to be Skal SLM, apologies. So an opportunity to come in from behind. I mean, what you do in this position, everyone's set up and you're going to get taken down almost immediately. A flawless round from Skal, who just seem to be going through the gears a little bit. I think that one round that they lost has kind of annoyed them. So they just take that with a plum, Major, and it is again puts the pressure back on Aberdeen, who again are going to have the healthiest e-commerce in order to buy the kind of weapons they like. They have invested heavily, but again, Skal just so accurate, Major, and at times you just feel they don't even need the utility with the kind of shots they're pulling off. Yeah,
so this is the thing now for Skal. They've got arguably, 2 rounds that they can pretty much lean on a full buy without really having to worry about it, and kind of Aberdeen. ESports Aberdeen are right up against it now with this full buy round. So after this one, again, they're probably going to be forced to do a full save on the next round. So trailing by 3 now are ESports Aberdeen. And now, again, it's just been the opening picks that haven't gone in their favour. Skal have been incredibly quick. Joe especially. They're just picking players off one at a time. And just allowing that first opening. You can see Joe is just going to head over towards Willow. And now, still waiting to see if anyone overchows anything. Shonky is just going to check down towards a main where Reggio is going to be located, but they are just going to take this bomb. They are going to wrap it as well. So Hummel is going to be, again, that man with a lot of responsibility running Killjoy over towards the site. Well, we'll have to see whether or not he can stall it. Because last time he did a good job, actually, Pablo. He used his utility to try and stop that push round hugging the wall to get on towards the site. He's obviously, you can see it on the minimap where he's stacked his utility. So as soon as this info comes through, if the suppression does come through, his utility is obviously going to be just stopped for the time being. And it looks as though that's exactly what's going to happen. And here come the boys in red.
Yeah, this is the problem. He's going to put under massive pressure, forced back into the alcove, and that's not going to be healthy. And that's an immediate site retake, well, a site take when you've got one player over towards B. I don't think Aberdeen really committing heavily enough towards a site that's been taken 3 times in this round already. We have got one player, though, in Aberdeen with a good opportunity to kind of get a surprise and some information. They are going to push through. The flank is being watched.
TP.
But big opportunity there, but he's been unfortunately taken down. Reggio is going to drop Mighty Joe, though, so that is going to see Mighty Joe into the next round. Major, it is a 4v4, so the healthiest position, make that a 3v3 as the trades go out.
Oh no!
Vapor drops SLM, and it is going to be advantage towards Skal, and that's going to leave F at last alive as that raise. What can she do in a 1v2? Unfortunately, she gets the Angel Wings, and that is going to be Skal putting another round on the board.
Yeah, a couple of windies there from both respective teams that we managed to witness in that one. So not the cleanest of potential site retakes there. And unfortunately, it becomes difficult when you've still got a lot of utility on the team that are going to have to set up that post-plant defense to try and make sure that players don't push through. And yeah, the flank was probably the most important part there. I think if Bape manages to maybe get a couple of kills on the pinch and enable his team to kind of coordinate that push in, and I think that's the word that we talk about a lot in Valorant is coordinating those utility usages to make sure that when they're hitting different angles, they're doing it kind of with aplomb pretty much. You don't want to be almost like segregating it all. And Joe again with a couple of picks to come through for him. And instantly this round becomes very, very bleak for ESports Aberdeen, as they now have only 2 players up. Bape and Hummel are going to be not very grateful to their teammates there, because they are just giving away quite simple picks. Obviously, they're looking to try and lock down some of these lanes, Pablo, but arguably pushing like lanes and peeking things that they don't necessarily have to. And when they're getting their heads ripped off by the likes of Joe time after time, you just want to kind of say to them, play a bit more cautiously. Just shoulder back and forth, get the information, and then try and make the defensive stack. Don't over-chal anything, because every time it feels as though they're challing something over towards mid, over towards courtyard, they're just losing the gunfights time after time, and then they're down a man instantly.
They're taking. I think one of the problems they face is we see another inevitable Skal round potentially come to the end. Is that we take something from a game that we know really well, like COD. So one of the things that you see in the very top end of those players is they will cover cross angles. So they'll make sure that if a player is going to get taken down, someone is there to see the enemy and get that trade. And we're just not seeing it out at Aberdeen. They're taking up very much individual corners where there's no coverage for them if they get taken out. There's no suppression fire so that you can play your life. You just got to rely on this kind of individual gun skill. And while they're up against players who are just so capable, like Joe, like Hockey, like Shonky, then they're not going to win those fights. And on the other hand, even Joe and Hockey and Shonky have taken up positions where they can support each other. So if one is taken out, they're able to then trade, and that's just a lack of experience, probably a lack of good quality scrims as well from Aberdeen.
Yeah, and I think it's really difficult when you're losing gunfights. I mean, Peak is really struggling. Him and Hummel have only got 1 kill between the 2 of them. When you're losing those gunfights consistently, it's so difficult not to just turtle up and almost not be confident when it comes to team pushes. It's almost a case of, oh god, right, who wants to go in first? Like, who's pulling the short straw here, rather than kind of the teams that we get used to seeing that are very aggressive, very organized in pushes. Even if they lose some of their rounds, they are very, very quick to hit some of these lanes out, regardless if it looks as though it might go a bit downhill for them and they might lose a couple of gunfights. But at the moment, it just feels as though ESports Aberdeen, they just need to try and come out of their shell a little bit. And although we speak about not over-challing things, especially when they're going to flip sides and go onto that offensive side, you are going to hope that that confidence hasn't been completely shot, because at the moment it feels as though it's quite thin across the board at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the problems as well. You know, people mock the idea of psychology mid-game. Well, when you're under the cosh like this, you do make stupid decisions. You aren't as aggressive as maybe you should be in certain areas, and this is going to potentially cost you simple positions. And again, it is going to be I mean, this is the exact scenario. This is a great scenario potentially for Aberdeen. They've got the majority of the players over towards that A site. They've got a potential opportunity now to retake. They just need to do it together and just read the potential angles, but again, they've got to get that first blood.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really difficult. They've still got every man up. You see, Omen in Vape has just been tagged up a little bit, so this is going to get messy. Nice pick, though, from Reggio just to open it up. Sibs gets one, Vape gets one, and so does Hummel. So it is now going to be a 2 versus 4 for Skal to make this count. Are they going to manage to put another round on the board? And they are. Now going to throw utility over towards the archway, but they need to try and stick the bomb here, and this is going to be so difficult when Shonky and SLM are still here, and it's going to be another pick that comes through, and regardless of it being a 2 versus 4, that is exactly what they do not want to see. Skal clutch up regardless, and they take the round, even though it was looking good for ESports Aberdeen.
A little bit of excitement, I think, just got into Aberdeen. Once they got that kill feed and got 3 picks, I think they were just like, oh, we need to push, we need to push. That's the moment where they then need to apply a little bit of caution, protect the diffuser, potentially try and take up some angles so that the attacking side can't potentially get back in, or at least can't get sight, or, you know, just find ways to do that. But I think they've just pushed out, got tagged up, and in the end, it's just been another pretty comfortable round for Skal, who lead by 6. And I mean, we talk about this, it's so difficult, but like, it's back to the drawing board time for Aberdeen already, and we're only part way through the series.
Yeah, and again, first blood straight off the board, so already this round has become.
That's a very difficult angle to try and play aggressively from that courtyard side. It's like insane.
The thing is, unless you're running an operator to get that first pick, wide peeking down towards that kind of B main area is just, it's never going to go well. It's never going to go well, especially when they're still running such high in terms of economy. For Skal at the moment, you're going to expect an operator and pretty much Vandals across the board, so peeking that with the less preferred gun is probably not ideal there in that situation. But now again, we are going to see bomb down. Hummel is again going to be last man up, this time with the Spectre. Shonky takes him down. It's now going to be, what is that? I think maybe 5 or 6 rounds in a row without a response coming through for ESports Aberdeen. And again, they're just going to keep falling behind. They are going to be able to go for a full bite on this round. But, I mean, when economy's going your way, when kills are going your way, and on the flip side, ESports Aberdeen, everything just seems to be going against them. It's just really, really difficult. And they're on the defensive side, which, albeit some of these maps, you can play offense really, really well, utilizing the smokes. We've seen the Omen smokes coming through time after time from Skal. When they hit that A point, they smoke top heaven, they smoke off the left side in towards Willow, and they just get in towards the site. So it is doable, but normally on paper, you expect the defensive team to normally take more defensive rounds than attacking. So at the moment, it's just not looking great.
I think the shame as well, they haven't chose Fracture, so I think a team like Aberdeen, who are potentially going into this knowing they're a little bit weak, because you see the suppression go out, and again, just to lock down that area, you see the red circles just flood into B. I mean, this almost becomes like scrimmage for Aberdeen. They probably need to treat this like training almost, but again, it's just, it comes down to just, I mean, basically, they need to go back to the drawing board and really think about like the map choices. Something like Fracture, where it's very biased towards one side, might help them get a few more rounds, or potentially just, you know, learning to just take up good angles. Look at that setup, a great shot, but as soon as he pushes out, he's got 3 circles there waiting from 3 different coverages. That's a beautiful example of exactly that kind of support that we haven't seen from in the Aberdeen ranks.
Yeah, and Pika is still waiting for his first kill at the moment. So the struggles go on for ESports Aberdeen. And on the flip side, Joe and Shonky really leading the charge. I mean, to be fair to Sibs and SLM, they haven't really had much to do, to be honest, in terms of kind of kills. They've been playing the sites pretty much perfect when it comes to pushing out. They're utilising the fact that Aberdeen are playing everything pretty much incredibly cautiously, and they're just taking advantage of it, pushing the sites, getting the bomb down and putting the onus on ESports Aberdeen just to try and be like, okay, you've now got to retake this. And a shot comes through from Reggio. It's actually going to tag up that man over towards B main. He's going to have another gunfight, but again, it's one potentially where, again, you don't need to push mid in that situation, albeit you are trying to play for the pick, but you get damage into one player. Maybe just try and play it smart, try and get out, reposition, don't overpeak it. That's exactly what he does, and his teammates now down 2 lives and 3 versus 5 now with a free A site for them to get the bomb down again here for Skal.
And their reading of the game just hasn't been, you know, on point as well. They get this pressure over towards the A site. They decide to turtle up a little bit because of the utility, but they're just not really transitioning. There's no real kind of ingenuity coming out of them. And right now they're forced to just turtle a little bit while they wait for reinforcements. And it's going to be Pika with that bow, just looking to get some information, but again, just Looking to get the shock bolt in. I don't know how much damage
Oh.
that's going to do. I'm terrible with Sober, so I'm usually appalling with that. But
Oh,
that is
man.
not what you want to be facing down. SLM makes it 2. And beautiful work with the sniper rifle, and that's going to be a 3v1, leaving poor old Ephemeral again, Major, in that unenviable position.
Yeah. I mean, watching Top Heaven with an op, it's just, it's so difficult to even push on towards that plat side. So it's going to be another round, 10-1 now. And I think he has saved his blushes here, Hummel, because he did get a couple of kills in that round. So better from him, but across the board on his team, you can see everyone negative, really struggling to get anything going in this. We are actually going to see an operator for Rego here, so this might be pretty much balls to the wall. It is obviously going to be the last round before the half, so they're pretty much going to spend everything they've got on a wide variety of guns across the board. We've literally got every single different type of gun for a different character, so that'll be...
It's a jumble sale.
Yeah, it's literally a case of, right, pick up what you can get, and that's pretty much what you're stuck with, so... Again, where is this push going to come through? Who's going to be that lone person over towards the site? We are now going to see the ult come through from Hockey, and he's going to slap the RPG straight into the face of Hummel. And again, site control is in the hands of Skal ESports once more. The bomb is now going down, and you can see that number 5 in Vape is going to be heading over towards a flank, working all the way round. He's going to have to be the man to make the play, but you can see there, number 9 in SLM, he's just waiting for it. And, oh no, he is going to miss the shot, so he is going to potentially be able to push up. But meanwhile, you can see that Rego's going to drop. That's not ideal. And, oh my goodness, well, he peeks the other corner. Pika's going to fall, and it might be the same thing here. Oh no, he's going to miss Bape.
Oh,
but now it is 3 versus 2. It's doable. But no, they're falling by the wayside once again, and it is going to be 11-1 at the end of the half, which is a brutal score.
I mean, it becomes difficult to dissect around when you kind of... Obviously, the player looking to make the flank in the end is going to get, you know, the least amount of opportunity to get support. But you've got to take your picks. And again, a little bit too cautious. Potentially a more coordinated response when the 2 players push into the site. That's when your flanking player really needs to try and take control. Especially against the sniper player. I know he's done well, but it's still relatively difficult to get that shot against a very quickly moving target. Just not really taking that opportunity to get that site control. And again, it just gives Skal another round, and it's just been such a dominant performance. It becomes difficult to really analyze the performance from Aberdeen when they make so many, you know, critical but so many kind of experiential mistakes. So Skal just make, I mean, they're going to do exactly what they're going to do. They're going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how Sibs does over towards his point in zone, because there's going to be a lot of people. You can see the jet smoke coming through, and he's going to fly straight in through towards the point. So they are going to wait before they finally push out. We are going to see the orb coming through from Fade, so Sibs will get a bit of info of where those players are. But nice work there from Rego to pick the corner. And now it will be, this time, control coming through. But look at the pinch instantly from Skal. They're heading round the back. Omen and Joe. Mr. Mighty Joe is doing a very mighty job at the moment, that's for sure, because he is just getting picks. But now, how is this site retake going to look here? We've seen that ESports Aberdeen have struggled just to get the picks. Oh, but Joe through the wall is just going to manage to ping one. He gets the second onto Ephemeral as well. And Joe, oh, that time I thought he was going to get a 4th maybe, because he had the throwing knife out, so he wasn't able to get it. Rego again gets another big pick though. Pika, his last one up, does make it a 1 versus 1. Shonky grabs the kill onto Rego, but it is going to actually be a round on the board for ESports Aberdeen. And my God, a much needed one.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the back foot for a little bit of that, where you see this like penetration shots come out. Incredible performance again from the Mr. Mighty Joe. But it is going to be Aberdeen who get one on the board, and we see them, you know, a lot better. We talk about the position they haven't got themselves in on the defensive side. As soon as they get into an attacking round, they're able to trade together. They're in the same environment and they win a round. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, nice work. So, more of that, please, boys. So SLM,
yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, Headhunter out. Is he going to find one? Or he's just going to opt to TP out, play it smart. But site control is going to be straight in the hands of ESports Aberdeen. So Reg's just putting out a few warning shots there to make sure that nobody over towards top heaven is going to try and maybe push through that smoke. But now the all-important gunfights are going to be going down over towards Tree. Look at the stack of bodies. You can literally throw a hoop around all of them. Bape will get the first one onto Shonky as well, and Hummel is going to get one as well. So this is looking good. Bape grabs another one onto Hockey. ESports Aberdeen, they've arrived a little bit late to the party, but they are now here, and they are now ready to go, and that is another round on the board for ESports Aberdeen.
What have we just witnessed? These teams, David, you say they've arrived late to the party. Well, they are thoroughly dancing on Skal now. That was an incredible display, and, you know, we talked about them not really supporting each other in the previous rounds, not taking clever angles. Well, in the attacking phase, they've, you know, made me aware they've done that almost exclusively. Great angles taken, great support. You know, good use of utility, and they've managed to string a couple of rounds back together. I'm sure Skal are scratching their heads like, is this the same team? Have they handed their pads off to someone else? Incredible.
So, for now, they are still in with this one. Obviously, ESports Aberdeen have got a big mountain to climb because Skal only need 2 more rounds to get this one done here. So, A-site is going to be the position again. Shonky is just going to put a shadow out. Smoke over towards that archway just to try and stop the push through, but they are going to get in towards the site yet again. But this time, how are they going to adapt to this one? Because they are going to have slightly better weaponry in this round, the boys of Scout, and they are going to get the first blood to go with it. So Sibs is going to open it up. Some nice shots there from Sibs to get the second as well, looking for a third. Oh, he is going to tag up Pika there straight through the wall bang, so makes him incredibly one-shot. Pika now just needs a peanut. There it is, and the peanut comes through courtesy of a Vandal. Shonky takes him down, and it will be a round on the board. The defuse comes through. And that is not what you want to see after 2 positive rounds there for ESports Aberdeen, Pablo. They are now only 1 round from dropping for seeing this map fall away from them.
Yeah, an immediate slap back, and almost the same as well. A flawless performance coming in with just the tiniest bit of damage taken. But I think the Fake and KO character both took a little bit, but it had just incredible play. And again, with the extra e-commerce, they were able to get the weapons that kind of like do the most damage, and they've inflicted that right onto Aberdeen ESports, who were in the ascendancy for a little bit and have shown at times that they can, you know, trade effectively. They can take up good positions. They can make good use of utility when they are working together. So, I mean, I'm scratching my head in terms of their kind of like perfunctory performance in that defensive side of things. So, Skal 1 round away from going 1 up in the series and still looking very so mighty, Joe. Major, I mean, this guy's just been, oh my days. Incredible, mate.
I can see why he's got Mighty in the middle of his name. Might have to ask him for a hard carrying rank later because he's picking players off very easily. Bape is actually going to get a couple of kills onto them though, but he's going to pop the ult, so he is available to be resurrected if they do decide to do that. They do have a lot of control here, and unfortunately Peak is going to fall, so now they're going to need the ace from Bape. It is not going to happen. That is game, set, and match there for Skal. They will take map 1 very, very confidently. 1-0 up in the series. 13-3 in the end is a very, very one-sided score, Pablo. We saw glimpses of Aberdeen ESports, or ESports Aberdeen, apologies, but unfortunately Skal they just kind of ran through them a little bit there.
I mean, it becomes, I mean, we mentioned it in the cast itself. It becomes difficult to really analyze the qualities of Skal. They've obviously got players who've got extremely good, you know, accuracy, that they're so on point, but really a lot of it just comes down to the fact that they support each other, they cover angles, you know, they'll see a player, they'll inevitably get 2 players shooting at once, so they're just able to take and especially in terms of like that ability to just control a zone, they're not cautious, they use their utility to get in control. We saw how often Humil was just pinned back over towards the B site, not able to get out, just must have got first-blooded like a handful of times at least, and unfortunately that's going to be Skal going absolutely huge in the end. Bape did try though, and at times we did see some great play coming round the back. We see him flank quite a bit with that character, but it is going to be too little too late, and it's quite a performance in the end.
Yeah, so really strong map. We can just look how top heavy it is just in terms of kills there. Unfortunately it was only Bape that was able to go past double figures in that one, so credit where it's due. Skal looked in very, very good shape in that one, and again, another team, Pablo, that we're kind of looking at and thinking, right, okay, so we've got another juicy team to add to the mix here. Obviously, we talk about kind of the mixed bag of teams that we've got across the board here, but for anyone who did miss map 1, it did finish 13-3, very one-sided there for Skal as we get ready for map 2 on Breeze. But yeah, we're starting to get a slow pool of players, Pablo, that we can look at and be like, right, okay, there's potentially, especially in this bracket play, going to be a lot of teams that are going to make a good battle for the £400 prize pool, which is going to be on offer here in the AVG. So, albeit this game's going to be one-sided, but again, we've got a wide skill gap across a lot of these teams here, and credit where it's due, Skal, on paper, they looked good, and in-game, they looked very good as well.
This is one of the things I think is quite really nice about coming over to this esport is that we don't often get to, from our previous life in Call of Duty, we don't often get to cast the first round games where you see the greatest skill disparity. Usually the first round are done and dusted quite quickly, and we start to pick things up as the, the better teams start to face each other. So it is nice to see these like quality sides come up against less experienced sides, but get used to all the names and all the orgs. But yeah, it is going to be obviously really exciting to see the likes of Team Ricochet against the likes of Skal and the Goose House, and the teams that have done particularly well, or look particularly strong. So yeah, this is going to get really exciting. I can only imagine that it's going to get like, these rounds are going to be incredible when we start to see game threes, when we start to see, overtime going to the hill in each game, and it becomes super exciting. And also when we start to see like those important head-to-heads between, key figures, we start to see Mr. Mighty Joe face off against Marky, face off against, Shira from T Ricky.
Shiri, yeah.
Yeah, Shiri. So it's going to be properly exciting when we get to that point.
Yeah, when we start to funnel down those players that we kind of light up as being like having that little bit of X factor when it comes to big moments.
Azza!
Yeah, literally Azza, Marky, Shiri. In the small number of games that we've cast over some of these players, there's already starting to be a lot of names that already are starting to ping up, and obviously when we start to see them face off against each other, that's when it will really get interesting. Let's be honest, because again, we've got a big pool of talent that is right at the top of it. A lot of Ascendants, a lot of Immortals. We've got Radiance thrown in this one as well. So yeah, when we get in towards that bracket play, that's when it's going to get very juicy. But I mean, Esports Aberdeen, like you mentioned, they can still use this as a learning curve. Again, they're probably a team that kind of, when it comes to entry-level teams in comparison to the rest of them, they are going to be on that side where you say, right, okay, use this as a learning experience. Obviously, the Wrath Reaper guys, I speak to them, and you speak to them very frequently. Obviously, they've had a couple of games where they've been knocked about a little bit, but you just got to learn what you can from the teams that you're playing, because effectively, these guys are playing the game very well. It's obvious to see. So you just got to kind of sit back, learn from it, and try and take the positives from it. The last thing you're going to want to do is be down and be like, oh, well, we're never doing that again, because we saw it on Vanguard. We've seen teams that at the beginning of the game on Call of Duty, they were getting battered, knocked around a little bit, and then we slowly started to see that progression up from playing difficult teams, learning from what they've from the L's that they take, and then they actually turned out to be pretty solid teams by the end of the game. And it's only going to go strength to strength in a game like Valorant, where you're not going to have a huge change over the case of a couple of years like you will see in Call of Duty, for example, when you go from a new title to a new title. So that ramp of improvement is going to benefit the teams that play these difficult moments out and stick together and take the positives from it, rather than just kind of turtling in and being like, right, well, we're not doing that again.
I think what's interesting for me, from my limited experience with Val, is that unlike Call of Duty, where you can actually like get a handful of players who are actually very good individually and can very quickly turn them into an okay side who does quite well. We've seen that quite a lot. Obviously, they never can make it to the higher echelons because the strategy and teamwork just goes to another level. That's not the same in this. You cannot be just a slayer and then expect to win in Val. Like the complexity and the IQ required is just too much. You really do need to strategize. You really do need to support. You really need to think about like actually like playing your life, because once you die, players are so used in other FPSs to having that respawn capability. Perma S&D is a different kettle of fish. Playing your life, playing your angles, supporting your team, all the time. And you consider, you've potentially got like 20 rounds you can play in, 6 rounds or 7. It can go into overtime and just go on and on. Mate. And these rounds are about as long as a Call of Duty S&D round, which you will only play potentially 11 of max at any inside potentially a whole series. So it's just like the level of complexity, the level of consistency, and the concentration required is just unreal. So yeah, it's really nice to see that differential. So when you take a team like Aberdeen Esports, who clearly have got good players, they just need to go back to the lab and just start thinking on what angles are we taking, how are we supporting. Humility was kind of like left alone for so long against the B site. They took like 4 to 5 times in a round in a series. So start to think about more intellectually, and then then you can start thinking, well, how can we utilize our utility better to control, retake a zone, or potentially make sure we don't lose a zone. They did have 1 or 2 great rounds when they won, but they just fell back into making simple mistakes, and that's just unfortunate. It is the way it is, but we are going to see these skill disparities in these early rounds.
Yeah, and quick shout out to Sam and to Raw DC as well for the follows. Thank you very much, guys. But yeah, we are just waiting on a toilet break on one player, and then we should be good to go in towards map number 2. But yeah, I mean, again, we pick off from what we know from Call of Duty. A lot of teams in Call of Duty, anyways, Pablo, can get away with kind of changing players kind of here and there, because of the way the game works. But in Valorant, especially because obviously you have a restricted space that you can push in towards the site, a lot of them are bottlenecks. Your positioning of utility around the site and coordination of it has to be perfect. And obviously, if you take a player out that is running smokes, for example, or running Viper and playing a lot of that kind of that information shut off to some of these sites, if you don't coordinate it well and you don't know kind of what your players are expecting you to either watch or cut off, it becomes very difficult to take a player out and put another player straight in and almost expect them to kind of hit the ground running in that sense. So it's one where it wouldn't surprise me here even if teams that we see consistently getting battered still stick together, because again, albeit with raw gun skill, I can kind of understand the mechanical side of the game where you would anticipate that, right, okay, if somebody is shooting a lot of windies and there's a player that can like snap onto heads with literally one click, then you would anticipate, okay, you could like kind of justify switching a player out for that reason. But for the most part, especially when you start to get towards the higher levels of it, when you start hitting those Radiant players, those Immortal players, you're expecting kind of the mechanical skill to be there pretty much all the time, like we see in Call of Duty. It's just kind of that big brain plays, that kind of the strategy that the teams implement to be able to raise the skill ceiling that little bit more.
Major, for me, it's like the scene from Black Hawk Down when he falls out the helicopter and everyone's like, what? How is he falling out the helicopter? No one expects it. Oh, you get to a certain level in any kind of esport, but obviously in FPS, and there's a point where every player needs to be able to make that important kill, especially if it's gifted to them, and you do expect that at a certain level. Obviously, this is the first round for AVG. We expect a lot of players potentially to still be missed shots, but this is one of the beauties, like, when you take a title like Valorant or like Call of Duty, there is an individual responsibility to go and practice your ability to kill. There's no shortage of resources. So you've got aim labs, you've got a practice range within the game. There is no shortage of resources to make sure that you can get those shots when it matters. Then the rest of it just comes down to that team practice and making sure that you take up the right angles, you make sure you take up the right shots. And largely, you don't want to be in a position where you're having to snap onto a player in 180 degree, because that means you're reading the game wrong. So you tend to not to see that so much at the higher echelons, because people are reading the game and reading spawns or reading transitions correctly.
Yeah, so we are now loading into map number 2, and a quick shout out to Puppy with the Raider 20. I hope the games went well, mate. Hope the games went well. And to anyone who is just joining us here, we have just finished map 1 on an ascent, which ESports Aberdeen, unfortunately, were on the receiving end of a bit of a battering. It was 13-3 in the end to Skal, and we are going to see that aggression coming through from ESports Aberdeen. So we did see, I mean, it's so colourful in the game. That's what I'm so happy about when we cast over Valorant now. It's just, even if it's a mess, it's a nice, beautiful, colourful mess. But it's going to be a potential opportunity now for these players to try and retake the site here. All of a sudden, Sibs is going to be the last man up. So Aberdeen, or ESports Aberdeen, apologies, they are very much more, it seems much more coordinated and aggressive when it comes to these rounds, where it's right, okay, we've got pistols, we can just kind of run at these guys, because again, they've got the site control very quickly, and all of a sudden, they take the first round.
Yeah, big gang of bonds. It's incredible. You give them a handgun and they actually do okay. They seem to be very confident. They're very aggressive as well. The push into that site was unreal. You saw how much utility went out. It was, crazy. We're already seeing great use of Neon to just provide that lane that you can get into the site a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, hats off to them. They've taken the lead. Are we about to see an incredible shock? I'm not sure, but yeah, hats off. Unreal performance right now from the boys. Nice comeback. Put them under pressure. You know what I say, Major, all the time. If you're on the receiving end of a slap, at least just try and mix things up and put them under a little bit of pressure.
Yep. And another point is that we have got pretty much a symmetrical set of teams between these guys, and Neon, obviously a character that, I mean, at the moment, in the early stages of the games that we've casted, when I think of Neon on this map, you're like, okay, Marky B, he can make the play. Neon is obviously a very popular character to get in towards the sites quickly, make those first engagements count, and It's looking as though that's what both teams are going to opt to do here, Bape. Nice shots to take down one, though, but Mighty Joe, who had an incredible map one, is going to be that man to trade him out. They are, again, though, going to get site control very, very quickly here, ESports Aberdeen. So, again, very confident opening start to this round. Bomb goes down, but now Mighty Joe, can he manage to get a couple of picks? No, Ephemeral's going to trade him out almost instantly, so it's going to be a difficult position now for them to retake the site. They've got to be careful, though, of that man pushing round. You can see number 5 on your minimap has managed to get in towards the site. Oh, but Hockey's only able to get one before Reggio actually turns round and takes him down. So that pinch, that was a massive kill that came out from Reggio because it looked as though the flank was going to come through. It doesn't. And ESports Aberdeen take another round. Good job.
Honestly, I wouldn't say comfortable, but that was almost comfortable. They did so well. And again, great work from Ephemeral, who's carrying on the form from the previous round into this round and just looks like a very capable player and read the situation really well. But more than that, played their life really, really well in order to get those handful of picks. So already a great start, mate. This is just the same team. I just cannot believe it.
Yeah, well, now it's going to be interesting because obviously they're going to try and go for that half-buy round to get the bonus. And on the flip side, Skal have got what they're very good at using, which is those top-tier weapons and vandals. So we'll have to see how Shonky does here. He is obviously going to be running the Viper on his own over towards his B site. So again, a lot of responsibility on him. Is he going to get that first? But the neon wall is up, but he's going to just poison off that front push. But Reggio has managed to get in towards the site. But now these players are going to start pushing through. But Hummel's going to shove the barrel of the revolver straight down his throat. Takes that kill, takes site control for his team, and Bomb goes down again, Pablo. They've got to work a retake again.
Yeah, man, this is not looking at all for Skal. This is a completely different game entirely. And it looks like Aberdeen are very comfortable on Breeze. It is going to be a 4v3. And you can see this beautiful work from our observers with the free cam. And Sibs is just over towards the side here, trying to get a pick, and it is going to be a player from Skal who goes down, Major, so it is going to be a 5v3, and this is going to be very difficult. Richard just taking a beautiful position. Things are going to get evened up, and that chamber over towards Aberdeen has got a little bit of life taken down, mixes up. Oh my day, 2 fall as we see Sibs and SLM just both take down player, and SLM is going to come through, Major, for bringing a round back for Skal. Didn't think we were going to be in that position.
No,
has he not got it?
No, he's not got time, mate. Not got time. He did a really good job there of just delaying that one. Did Bape, so that is exactly what they needed to do. It was getting messy, but while they were losing engagements, the boys of Skal were losing time, so they weren't able to get the defuse, they weren't able to take the round, and now ESports Aberdeen go 3-0 up here, and now they've got a full whack, full buy on their side. The economy's looking very, very good, and interesting to see what kind of round that Skal have here, because now they are trailing by 3 rounds after a very one-sided first map. It's now been a very, very strong start from the team that got slapped, and this is obviously Skal's map in map 2. So map 1 that was chosen by ESports Aberdeen did not go in their favour. They got battered on it, and now on the flip side, they're schooling the other team on their map. So it'll be interesting to see how this one unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to them. I mean, well, you know, one of the other things we mentioned in the previous round was that ability to regain the psychological impact it can have getting such a heavy loss. Well, it just hasn't affected them at all. They just looked very, very tidy. Picker with a nice pick on Hockey to give them the advantage again. No, parity is restored, though. It is going to be 4 players versus 4 Major to hit that 1 minute mark.
Joe's going to try and get out here, but he's just going to run straight into the bullets of Reggio. So site control of A is going to be in the hands of ESports Aberdeen. Bomb will go down. And now it's going to be down to the retake here. SLM is going to be pushing down towards that bridge side. And he does have help alongside him. Peak is going to be potentially the first man to engage on this outer lane, outside pyramid. So you can see SLM is just waiting for that right time to strike. And also you can see that Bape... Oh, SLM's just going to put a bullet straight through his face there. So Sibs is now going to make the play. Sibs gets 1. So now it's going to be last man standing in Hummel. He's going to do very well to stay alive in this one. He does manage to get the man out the back here, but unfortunately there, the poison's going to make him weak. SLM with some clean shots, and the boys of Skal are going to get their first round on the board. And a much needed one, Pablo. It's starting to fall away from them there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was starting to look very comfortable for Aberdeen at times, and I think they've just starting to build that confidence and use that momentum to get themselves even bigger lead. That is a bit of a worry, though. Skal biting back this early into the rounds. And again, you just got to, you know, pose the question with Ephemeral playing so well. Nice support from Humil, again in a better position. So, you know, we saw in the previous map how isolated that character was, that player was, over towards the B-bomb site. Well, just that opportunity to be on the attacking side from the outset has freed them up massively. So, could be huge. This could be a huge round right now for Aberdeen.
And I think... No, I thought I saw... Oh,
Oh,
well, there you go.
my
I saw something.
days.
Reggio isn't going to see any more because he's dead as SLM puts an operator bullet straight through his chest. And that first blood goes in their favour. So again, we're really starting to see a little bit of a shift in momentum, potentially. They give up that first blood. We are going to see a lot of utility coming through from ESports Aberdeen over towards this B site. We can see the Viper Wall just cutting off those middle lanes and over towards the back spawn there for Skal ESports. But they've got to be careful of Joe. Is he going to get some god timing here to take down a few players? Yes, he is. He takes down Pika. Shonky takes down Ephemeral. And that is a beautiful round there in reply to Skal to reduce that deficit back down to 1.
Yeah, nice, really nice decision making from Hockey. He's got an opportunity to get face down 3 players, decides against it, moves back further down beach, and then gets that pick on Bape. And that just, gives the other 3 players something to think about. Well, while they're thinking about that, they get absolutely annihilated. So a good round from Skal. And more worrying if you're an Aberdeen esports fan, or esports Aberdeen, apologies, is that Skal just starting to slowly creep back into the game, but they're looking very organised, which is something, that was a key part of their first round win, their first game win. So Aberdeen really need to mix it up again. Otherwise, I think this is going to start to go the way of Skal once more.
So,
can't miss shots like that, Major.
Yeah, that's a game of fine margins sometimes. We are going to see the ultimate coming out from Reggio here, but we're going to see the same from Joe. He's just going to put a lot of that ultimate into a couple of players. He is actually going to weaken up a couple of them. He is going to force Pika to back up at the peak from Pika. Oh, that wasn't intentional, I swear to God, as he's able to take down Joe. And Ephemeral takes down 1, but you can still see that the operator is still in the hands of SLM, who they are really struggling to keep quiet. Sib doesn't need an operator. He just uses a single Vandal bullet straight to the dome of Ephemeral. And now, after a very strong start from ESports Aberdeen, we now see the game tied up after 3 consistent rounds from Skal. And we are back to even.
I mean, I just don't know whether Skal was that. They were like 3 reconnaissance rounds. Like, let's figure out how they play on the attacking side from the outset. Now we know. Let's destroy them. But again, I mean, Aberdeen, you got to say hats off to them for getting into that position in the first place. But right now, Skal back to that kind of performance we saw them in the first game, supporting each other. I mean, getting picks with the operator is just incredible. And Pika, if you're gonna throw the sniper on, you've got to get that shot if it's in your view. And that's one of the things we talked about earlier on. This is about being able to perform when it matters.
Yep, and he is just going to TP away in the nick of time. They've got a lot of mid control, but Shonky's going to watch the cross into mid, and he's actually going to take Reggio down there, who did just cross over. The first blood goes in favour of Skal once again. And now, what are they going to try and decide to do the bomb here? They're still going to have to try and go through Shonky over towards that B site. But they're doing it a little bit patiently.
Sova could get isolated quite badly here.
Yeah, Bape's got to be careful. He's got a really big responsibility of watching those players transitioning over mid. And this is exactly what's going to happen now. So how many is he going to get? He's not going to get a single one. Joe checks his corners. Joe gets the kill. And now they're going to be in a difficult position where they are pinched. But Ephemeral just continuing to get picks here currently for ESports Aberdeen. Joe is going to maybe butt heads with him. They do still have control of this site, but Human's going to get the pick onto Shonky, who is just going to overextend over towards Elbow, so potentially not an ideal strat there, but nice shots from Human as he gets another one there, but Skal watching over towards the archway, does get another pick, and he might get another one if he gets some good timing on towards Sky, just pushing down, and we are going to see the ultimate come through from Sibs. The Hunter's Fury isn't going to tag anything up. And SLM is doing God's work with that sniper. He gets yet another pick, and they know where he is. Here he comes, and there goes Pika as well.
Oh my days! I mean, I talk about your body leaving your soul leaving your body. Mine left my body then, but incredible performance and Major Skal. I mean, we talk about teams that that are really good, but we talk about some great teams that have got the ability to go through the gears, that extra few percent in terms of pace, in terms of accuracy, and in terms of just raw aggression. Well, we've seen it come through for Skal, who've just taken the lead off the back of a 0-3 deficit. You saw what a fiery start Aberdeen, ESports Aberdeen managed to take, but it looks like they've been read and pages have been torn out the book, and Skal have just taken the lead. Incredible performance.
Yep. Well, now it has turned the tables because they are getting picks. But this time, Reggio's actually able to open it up with a nice shot straight to the dome of one man.
Change of responsibility.
First, their first blood goes in their favour, and they are going to opt to go over towards this site. But again, when you've got SLM who's just watching down these lanes with the operator, and he doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon, it feels as though whoever pulls the next short straw is going to be very unhappy with it. Ephemeral, he's just going to shoulder it. He does wrap the bomb, potentially. Yep, that is going to be the call. So they are going to just nick that bomb out, take it over towards B, because you can see Humel's got all the information. He's going to say, boys, listen, B site's clear. That's exactly what they do, but look at the rotation again from Skal. It looks as though they've just got a little sixth sense that that's exactly what they've done. They've just got to be careful that that player out the back isn't going to be able to pick down these players, and Shonky might get a bullet straight to the side of the face in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just not read. Humil's at the back, and that is a player that's actually on fire for Aberdeen Esports Aberdeen at the minute. So good play by Humil. He's just going to prop up the back of the map there and just provide a little bit of support. We can see it is going to be a 3v3. So a big retake going down. Another big kill for Humil, who puts that advantage back onto Esports Aberdeen, but it's quickly restored. And it's going to be a 2v2 with very little time remaining. You're going to start to hear that defuse going. Oh my days.
Oh,
what
mate.
was that? Incredible shots from SLM. Just two-pieced in a way. I don't think I've seen anyone two-pieced like that in this game so far.
There's a reason he's 15-2. That was absolutely vile from him. That was absolutely incredible shots there with the headhunter. And yeah, when you've got a player that is shooting like that, when it looks as though the round could potentially be going in your favour, and then SLM just pulls it out from underneath you, it can be so demoralising. And you would anticipate that that one for Esports Aberdeen is a right kick in the cojones, because that was not ideal for them. And the man who is absolutely frying at them at the moment is showing no signs of slowing down at the moment. So when you're up against a player like that in a kind of a predominantly 3-lane game, when they have an operator out and they are killing you every single time you peek, these attacking rounds just get harder and harder to gather momentum, to try and almost think about pushing some of these. As Joe's going to get a little bit of mid-map controls, he takes down one. He will get a shot on towards that player around the corner, onto Bait. He spots him, and another bullet in the brain means that it's now going to leave Reggio all alone, and he's going to do so well to stay alive here, because he's going to get shot from so many directions. Surely going to be dead. Yes, he is. And that is 6 rounds in a row from Skal, and they are well and truly up and flying now.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a completely different side. I do believe them first 3 rounds were largely reconnaissance and information gathering rounds, because they have, you know, put their boots back on and absolutely rolled through Aberdeen. It must be very difficult for them. Again, they're psychologically on the back foot. They must have felt so confident after their first 3 rounds, but they've been well and truly put back in their place. And, you know, we talk about SLM's use of that operator. He's using it, you know, not just in terms of getting kills, but, you know, he's got good distance. He's taking the angles correctly, not taking any real risks. So right now, this is, you know, classic clever play. He's not pushing forward too aggressively. So big opportunities again to go absolutely dirty. Reggio, please don't
peek.
Oh no! Oh, he is taken down though. It is going to be Mighty Joe though gets taken down. That's a big kill for Aberdeen.
Yep. So they will get control of that site, and more importantly, they will at least make SLM weak, which is something that they've struggled to do so far. So with 30 HP, he's going to have to work a little bit of magic there. Oh, not quite able to go through the Viper ult to tag up those players. You can see the Pika are going to be inside it alongside Hummel. But now Shonky is going to take down Hummel. Shonky gets a second onto Pika as well, and it's going to be a kill for Hockey, which means a site retake is pretty much inevitable. And that is going to be another round on the board. 7 without an answer from Esports Aberdeen. And it just feels as though, Pablo, that they've just adapted to what Esports Aberdeen are doing, and they are doing it perfectly at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the stats are. I haven't been paying attention, but in terms of maybe the last 4 or 5 rounds, particularly the last 5 rounds, I don't know how many. I think they may have lost 3 lives, maybe 4 lives in the last handful of rounds. It's been almost back-to-back incredible performances in each round. So Skal, I mean, you can only say they're just flexing in the most dramatic way possible, and Aberdeen just really in the bin at the minute. They've got to pick themselves up and try and, again, we talk about just change your pace, change up your routes, change just a little bit of pressure, just do something different that applies pressure to the opposition, potentially look to try and get a couple of clever flanks, get in behind. I mean, Major, they must have been able to read by now that these players tend to try and stack heavily. I know.
I beg. Stop, please.
It's cruel. This feels like I'm watching some kind of snuff movie or something. It's awful.
SLM is just demonstrating the old point and click, because every single person that peeks around a corner down the lane that he is watching with the op just gets absolutely cleaned out time after time. We are going to see some utility going in towards Elbow, but through that Viper wall, as soon as that drops, It's going to be party time because there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of engagements. And Reggio's actually able to take down Hockey through the wall. So nice work there from him. Hummel, though, is going to get taken down by Joe. Takes down 2. Reggio will trade him out. So now it is all going to be on Reggio. 1 versus 3. And unfortunately for him, one of those players is currently the man that is standing at 18 and 2. And almost manages to make it 19. Reggio, don't go that way, please. Just go down over towards B main. That's exactly what he's going to do. And it might be the similar outcome anyway. He will get 1 before he falls. But again, another round for the defending boys of Skal.
And again, a nice bait at the end. So despite, you know, one player plays as bait and the other player gets a pretty straightforward kill, it's going to see SLM up to 18 kills. Incredible. Is that only 2 deaths? Am I reading that correctly?
Yep.
That's an unreal performance. And obviously it is a lot more difficult to kill a player who's going to be 3 miles at the back of the map, but still unreal performance. And Major, that is a back-to-back set of rounds that just... I mean, it puts the performance in perspective when we see, you know, we think about that game 1 and just how incredible they were. I mean, this is just, again, we talk about how difficult it is to cast the kind of mistakes that are starting to come out, but Skal are just incredible. Really, really incredible.
Well, it's going to be, battle of the electricity, and Joe's going to get the one onto Reggio. Hockey, though, is going to grab 2 onto Pika, and Ephemeral, as I got so excited, I tripped over my own tongue. But now, Hummel will reply with 1, so now 2 versus 3, but he's so weak, and who's going to shut him down? Oh, who would have thought? SLM, and they know that he's stuck in the corner. The poison is going to kill him. Peekaboo, there he goes, and another kill comes through for SLM, who is just taking over this map. 9 and 3 in the half for the boys of Skal, and they will flip over towards that offensive side, feeling very, very happy with that performance.
This is where they're good. This is, you know, they're obviously very capable
20 and
defensive
2,
sides.
by the way.
20 and 2, that is an incredible performance. But man, I mean, I feel bad for the team on the other side. Like, they're gonna go back to the stat board and be like, how many times did SLM kill you? Because right now, I think he's just having his way. And honestly, the Skal going into the attacking side of things, probably going to be even more confident. You're going to see an extreme use of utility as they look to try and just barrage these zones. They did it in the first game and they just look so comfortable at the minute. 4 rounds away from victory. It's the superlatives may just start to become difficult to try and mix them up when the team's playing as well.
Oh, well, they do shut Joe down. I thought for a second he might have done something very naughty, but he didn't. Reggio puts a bullet straight in towards his face. Yeah, potentially, but Reggio's actually going to get a second. So, Reggio gets 3. Really good work from him. SLM, though, if anyone's going to do it, it was going to be him that shuts him down, and SLM is going to manage to weaken up. But he will manage to get the kill as well. So now, 1 versus 2 with 19 health, so in a dream. This is not going to be easy, and you just feel all they've literally got to do is get 1 bullet in him here. Oh, it's a little bit favourable. There you go.
Did
and
he
Ephemeral.
Get the kill?
No. Ephemeral shuts him down. So Ephemeral, he did get the headshot, I think, on towards Hummel, but he won't get the kill, so it will be a round on the board for ESports Aberdeen, and they had a strong start to the first half, Pablo. They're going to need, again, another strong start here in this second half if they're going to stand any chance of bringing this one back.
Let's be honest, Skal were completely complacent there. We saw, I can't believe it, I think it might have been Mighty Joe just tried to steam in through mid and just expected to make it all the way through to the bomb site. And again, a little bit of complacency when you're in such a strong position doesn't surprise me. You can almost, I mean, you could probably trial ideas now that you wanted to, but again, Reggio with a big opportunity. We talk about Major, you need to take those opportunities when they come, or you're potentially going to get punished, but it is going to be a big kill. But Major, they are tied up 4 against 4. Make that a 3 against 4 as we see a player from Aberdeen drop.
Oh, good work from Babe, though. Just hit the flank really quickly.
Nice.
Didn't hesitate. That's what they need to do. They just need to be decisive when they're trying to retake some of these sites. And that spike has been dropped over towards the B tower. So it's going to be difficult for them to try and retrieve it with those players just lurking over towards that B main entrance. But they don't necessarily have to try and push in towards the site here, ESports Aberdeen. The onus is going to be on Skal to try and get this bomb down. And, cheeky no-scope there onto some utility. That's something you don't normally see. Nice work from Babe as he gets yet another kill. So now Hockey's going to be the last man up. Hockey will take down 1. Not ideal, though. There's going to be a few players. We'll manage to slap 1 player in the face with the blind. Oh, the shot's going to be clean enough. No, they're not. Pika gets the trade. 9 to 5 now. Deficit down to 4. Looking good again.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice of them to string some back-to-back rounds. I do think that is going to be two. We are very much in the position at the very start of the first set of rounds. So this could be potentially a little bit of complacency, or again, the boys from Skal looking for a bit of information to see how they can retake. Definitely a totally different performance from the one we saw over on the first on Ascent. So good opportunity now to put Aberdeen, can put them under a bit of pressure. They've done exactly that, and a great performance to do it. But they're going to need to go big again, largely on the back of Ephemeral. But Bape, again, getting a few really big kills. So exciting times for ESports Aberdeen, putting this team under pressure. Most important thing they can do.
Well,
Kumil, unlucky.
He did manage to get the tag up to SLM to make him weak, but Shonky with one, Shonky with two means that middle lane is now very much in control of Scout. And now what are they going to decide to try and do with this information? It looks as though they are going to try and transition over towards B, but this is where the bulk of the remaining players are. So is Hockey going to get any information with that dog? I don't think he did, so I don't know whether or not they're going to try and overchild. They know that Reggio's out the back, but they don't know the one man on towards the right is going to be Ephemeral. Ephemeral gets one. Is he going to manage to stay out of this corner, though, because he's incredibly trapped, and he's only going to be able to put some bullets in to weaken the last few players. And Shonky, with some clean shots, I believe, got his third kill in that round. Nice work from him. And it just feels as though potentially this might be a little bit of deja vu from what we saw in that first half of ESports Aberdeen, doing well at the start, and then the boys of Skal just adapting quickly to what they're trying to do, because they did hit mid very quickly, and they just literally singled out those players and converged on the site really, really efficiently there.
Yeah, absolutely. Another dominant performance, puts them within three. And again, we saw this in the very start of the game, where they just let a few rounds go, got a little bit of information, and potentially were a little complacent at the start of their attacking period. But yeah, just looking very, very capable. And again, they've got so many players when you don't see maybe, you know, the Mighty Joe getting picks, when you're not necessarily seeing SLM getting picks. They've got the likes of Hockey and Chonky who can put absolute picks together. So a very strong Skal side. Ooh. 3 rounds away, Major, and this is going to be huge.
There's a lot of people going up mid-tube. Pika. Is someone going to Pika him? Oh, never mind. Joe gets one. Bape will get a kill first, though, and Ephemeral's going to open up another bit of a lane as he gets a kill onto SLM. But Joe gets 2 again. He gets punches in bunches. Oh my god, he gets the 3rd as well with 8 HP. Hummel will trade him out, but the damage from Joe is now done. And it is now going to be a 1 versus 2 for Hummel here. It's going to be so difficult because they've got him trapped in both angles, and they manage to work the pinch. Sibs gets the final bullets in towards his dome, and it will be around on the board for Skal, and a cheeky bit of a tea bag there, just to put the cherry on the top, or the cherries on the top, should I say?
The cherries literally on the top. But yeah, another big performance. And we talked about the fact that they've got players who can just drop big numbers. You know, you take away SLM from the picture, it's still players largely pushing double figures. Only Shonky not hit the 10 mark, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was able to go into double figures. And obviously on the other side, players like Bape and Pika, who have struggled in this round despite winning, you know, 5 rounds. They're just not able to get those picks, and it's the difference maker in the end. Ultimately, what you see between these two teams is a massive difference in skill and gun skill. Oh, SLM, how did you miss that? It's the first time for everything, Major.
Yeah. I was going to say, oh man, Joe, my goodness, point and click. Gets another one. Oh my goodness, he manages to weak up Pika as well. I thought he was going to get another one there, but Shonky, there you go, he's now in double digits now, I do believe, as he takes down Pika. So now, courtesy of the opening picks coming through from Joe, Ephemeral and Bape are now going to be the last 2 up here. And pushing through double doors is not looking like the play, because it's just going to be so difficult. Joe's going to go for the kill here. Point and click again. There you go. Another kill for Joe, who I think got 3 in that one. So really nice work from him, and his team are now 1 round away from getting this one done and calling it a day.
I just don't understand why ESports Aberdeen didn't transition at any point. They just stayed in mid and allowed Mighty Joe to get in behind them. And it's not the biggest transition. We're not talking about IQ, you know, Mensa level genius here. He just pushed out the back of the hill and got a view over mid. Knew those players couldn't necessarily push out and get a transition. I'm just surprised they didn't make that move earlier. But again, this is all about experience, all about that learning curve. And right now, I mean, ESports Aberdeen are on a big learning curve.
Well, there's the information coming through. You can see now that Joe's going to decide to pop out here, and he's going to try and push around onto Reggio here, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Reggio is going to miss the shots, and now Joe's going to go on the explore for a couple more. Oh, he's going to tag up Pika a little bit here, and he's going to get the kill onto Pika as well. So now this is looking like backs against the ropes as another kill comes through for Sibs. That is not what you want to see. Joe's looking for another one. Bape will actually manage to take him down, but they are now going to stick the plant. And now 2 versus 3 hit for the site retake for Aberdeen to stay alive in this series. SLM has an operator in his hand, which is not what you want to see if you're an Esports Aberdeen fan, because the damage that he has been doing with this so far has been disgusting, and that is exactly why, as he proves me right. Thank you so much, SLM, for making me sound remotely intelligent, and nice work there from SLM to round it off. Game, set, and match. Gonna go to Skal Esports, and deserved winners.
Man, I mean, did SLM win that almost on his own? That was an incredible performance. What a way to round off the series with 2 absolute picks with the operator. But yeah, unstoppable. Did he end up getting 28 kills in the end?
26.
Something similar?
26.
26 in the end. I don't even know where to begin with a performance like that. A competitive game, but we're going to see the Viking helmet adorned across Ascent and Breeze in what was a very comfortable, and I mean, ridiculously comfortable at times, but you know, we can eulogize about the capabilities of Skal all night, but we've got to look really at the performance of Esports Aberdeen. What can they take away from it? Well, they did put them under pressure for a couple of rounds. They were able to kind of take advantage of whether complacency or whether it be information gathering to get a few picks. They have got a handful of players who can definitely get shots when it matters. They just got to really, you know, I think they've got to make changes quicker. They didn't transition effectively to the B site in a sense, so that allowed Skal to get a ton of plants and really put Humili under pressure, which was left there kind of isolated a lot of the time. Making sensible transitions in 2v3s and 2v4 situations just didn't really happen. But more importantly, the one thing that probably is more worrying is just not supporting each other, not kind of getting those cross angles support that you would expect, so that if a player is under pressure, someone can immediately, you know, support them. Didn't see that. A lot of individual rogue plays coming out of Esports Aberdeen.
Yeah, so nice work there from the boys of Skal Esports. I will show you guys the scoreboard there. So just confirmation of SLM, and he has actually dropped in the chat, so shout out to him there for an incredible map. Joe not too far behind, though. Not a bad series in terms of consistency from Joe. He had a really good map 1. He's had a very good map 2 as well, and as a result of that, his team looked very, very strong here up against Esports Aberdeen. So Skal will take it 2-0 in the series, and yeah, SLM just having an absolutely incredible game there. A quick shout out
is that the highest econ rating that we've seen so far? I think
it's up there. It's up there. Anything that goes past probably what 160 is pretty damn good. So nice work there from him, and quick shout out to Egito as well for the follow. Thank you very much, buddy. A few of those as well. We'll just put the old replays up. So if you guys did miss any of those games, it was very much Skal, and more Skal. They were very, very good in both of those maps, and looking like, again, another strong team here that we've got in the AVG. So GG's there to both teams. Commiserations there to the boys of Esports Aberdeen. Obviously, you can't win them all, and that one is going to be a steep learning curve for them, albeit, but I'm sure they'll be able to go away and come back stronger next time for this one. But a really good series nonetheless. Again, 2 more teams that we haven't seen a huge amount of, and the first time casting over them, it'll be good to see how they do manage to progress through the groups and into the subsequent brackets. But I mean, overall, Pablo, and again, Skal, another team to throw into the ring for potential
100%.
Teams to keep an eye on in this one.
Oh, mate, 100%. I am so excited for Team Ricochet playing these, for the Goose House playing these, for Control Esports playing these. So many teams, and so many more to come as well. I mean, we assume the Goose House were going to be a very, very dominant side, and then we've seen that Team Ricochet were able to get a win over them. So much more great Valorant to come, and you know, you've just got to doff your cap to what is essentially a very well supported, well organized game. You know, we've come off the back of what is probably the worst iteration of Call of Duty we've seen, and it's just refreshing to come to such a well kind of rounded game that it hasn't got the kind of technical issues and doesn't have the kind. It's just a beautiful game to cast over as well. Yeah. And just before we go, big shout out as well, because I never get the chance to say it, to Listo, Sheps and Gerans in the background doing all the observant stat work for us.
Yeah, so huge shout out to those guys. We'll see that disgusting 2-piece again from SLM with the Hunter. I wish I could shoot like that on this game, man. This is why we cast, because we can't shoot. So
I'm like that in Call of Duty as well. At least you can shoot back in that.
Yeah, so that is going to be it from myself and Pablo this evening. Again, I know Pablo said it, but yeah, Listo and Sheps doing all the beautiful camera angles for us in the background, so that we don't really have to press too many buttons, which is quite quite refreshing for us. And obviously, Orange, or Statbot Supreme, as she always demands to be called, if anyone asks. Yeah, big shout out to those guys for helping us out always behind the scenes, if you guys do or do not know. And if you haven't dropped them a follow, every time I post, guys, you'll see them atted in there. Drop them a follow, because they're doing God's work over towards the production side of the stream. So shout out to those guys. But yeah, this is going to be our only game for the evening, guys. So GG's there to both esports Aberdeen and Skal esports as well. And we should have, I believe, maybe a game tomorrow, depending on availability and whether or not the games have been picked up. But if not,
yeah, it's my fault if we don't do it, because I am unfortunately might be busy tomorrow.
Yeah, so if we don't have a game, we'll probably see you guys at some point next week, depending on when those games get organised. I believe I'm doing a stream for ES Hub for a roulette on Call of Duty. But yeah, if you guys do want to tune in, feel free to do so. But that is going to be it from me and Pablito this evening. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you to all the new followers, new and old, for everyone who's tuned in as Hockey Wants a Suey on the back of a dub. So there you go, buddy. Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. And we will see you guys for some more Valorant action in the near future. So drop a follow if you haven't already. And we'll see you beautiful people later on.